I'm Laura Hanna, and I work at a university called University of Technology Sydney, and I work in the pathway program. So I'm part of the UTS College, and we teach pathway programs into the university. We have a range of really diverse students from all over the world. So some of them have English as their only language, and lots of our students speak many different languages. My role is the academic coordinator of accounting, and this is a first semester accounting subject. And so I write the learning materials for this subject, and I also teach the subject in class with my students. I've been doing this role for around 20 years as well. So a number of years ago, our college created a blended learning policy or strategy, which I think is common pretty much across every single university. And Nearpod was one of the technologies suggested for us to try and use. I tend to like fairly traditional, kind of old school teaching methods. So I didn't jump on board to use Nearpod straight away. But once I did start using it, then I don't think I could teach using anything else. Yeah. We had a colleague who was leading the blended learning strategy, and he presented a few options of different softwares that we could use, and our college got the license for Nearpod. And it was offered as an option for us. I wasn't the first person to start using it. There was a few other colleagues. For example, I think my colleague in economics really loved using it to get students to draw supply and demand graphs in class that they could share with other students and discuss during class time. And then when I was redesigning my course, I was looking for something I could use in the tutorials to engage students. I was looking for something to break up a long class. I think it's good in the class to have small little chunks of activities. You don't just want to do the same thing for the whole hour and a half. You want to have a few different activities. So Nearpod was a great way to add an activity before the students dug into something a little bit longer. Also, I liked the novelty of Nearpod. So they say that the brain loves novelty. So to make the lesson plan a little bit more interesting for students, a bit more fun, I liked that it didn't have to be the same thing every week. So some weeks I get students to share a picture of what they're learning or to share some text. Other weeks I get them to do poll questions. Sometimes I put some multiple choice questions into a time to climb. And I think time to climb, it does kind of look like it's more aimed at primary school kids probably. But my students love it. They love picking a little avatar, and there's students who love the competition element of that as well. And so I'm not going to use the same thing every week, but just by sharing a variety of different things, it does create that novelty that, there's something different that we do in class each week. And also the videos as well. In the last workshop with Amanda, she was showing us about how to use YouTube videos, and we can embed questions within that as well. So I just try to break it up each week. So there's a few things. The first is around classroom management. And one of the things in our course, the way the curriculum is designed, we want students to learn at home using some online learning materials we've created for them. And then when they come to the workshops that are face-to-face, the purpose of the workshops is for the students to apply and practice what they've learned themselves. So we need to create workshops that are really interactive, where students are actively learning. It's not, we're not lecturing them. We're not supposed to be standing there just telling them stuff. We want students really actively participating. So Nearpod is a way that you can get every student in the class involved and actively participating. I love how they have to sign up at the start, or just log in or whatever you want to call it, because then you can see exactly how many of your students have really jumped on right from the start of the lesson. You've got a little number. It tells you, okay, 15 students have signed in. You can check your room. Yep, everyone has. It's like, to me, that's saying everyone is switched on and ready to learn today. That's like the first step, just to sign in. And you can then follow their responses throughout the activity, so you can see who's continuing to engage in the activities. The second thing, which is a little pet peeve of mine, is I hate classes where there are just 3 students speaking and everyone else is sitting there awkwardly. I want to encourage every single student to be participating at the same time. And I am really grateful to those 3 students who always put their hand up, like they're obviously working really hard in the class. But I know that there are a lot of students in my class, especially with, say, they speak a lot of different languages. They might be shy. They might not feel confident in speaking in front of the class in English, or they might need a little bit more thinking time than other students. You've got some students who are really fast and they're shooting their hand up and answering. The other students might know the answer, but they just need a little bit more time to form that answer. So what I love about Nearpod is that you can get a response from every student. And I have received feedback from students in the past, written comments at the end of semester, and they say, I love how you use Nearpod. I love that I can participate, that everyone gets a chance to have their say. So that's really important to me, because I think sometimes that noisy classroom environment can favor students with extrovert personalities. But I think students who have like an introvert personality, they deserve to participate and be heard as well, even if they don't want to speak out loud in front of everyone else. The other thing I use Nearpod for is at the beginning of class, I use it to do some quick check questions. And this helps me to quickly see, have students done the work they should have done before class? Did they understand that work? And this helps guide what I need to do with them. Do I need to review the concepts one more time? Do they know it? Or can we just move on to the next thing? Can we extend and build and apply that knowledge? So it gives me a really good, I guess, diagnostic tool to see where are the students at and how can I help support them better. I think that would probably be it. I would say it really benefits the students who really want to participate, but they don't feel comfortable to speak out loud in front of everybody else. I think this is a great way for their voice to be heard. And also what I was saying before, that, students often have different thinking processing times. So it just gives that time to all the students. Well, I think once you have set it up, you can use it every semester. So this is a great efficiency, and you can share it with your whole teaching team. And I sometimes see teachers at the start of a lesson, they want to have, let's just have a chit chat about what you've been learning. And it's quite informal and they're asking questions. Nobody is answering. This helps to really structure that time really nicely. And it also ensures that all the teachers teaching your subject are doing the same thing in class. So if you have like a large team of teachers teaching your subject, that's really, really helpful for that, to get that consistency across the classes. And it also just takes that, I think it helps you look a little bit more prepared, I think, rather than just rocking up to class. Yep, I'm just going to chat to you about a few things. It just, I think, adds that extra preparation, just makes it look a little bit more professional, I think. And that's
Yeah.
something I didn't mention before, was that ability to save students' comments in class. That's really useful if you're wanting to reflect on your teaching a little bit more, if you're wanting to reflect on your students' progress over time. Being able to go back after class and access the data is super helpful. And I've used the data to often to reflect on my students' progress and also on my own teaching, by having a look at their comments and thinking and using it to continuously improve my courses. Probably in the higher education space,
Yeah.
educators are really time poor, and there are many different pieces of technology that come along and require your attention. So I think the biggest challenge is getting the educator, I guess, to pay attention. Pay attention to something in the midst of not having much time and there being many different options. And I think, I guess, in my opinion, the best way to get someone to use a technology like this is probably if they see it being used. I've been using, well, since I started using Nearpod, I never want to make PowerPoint slides ever again, because I feel like, well, how do I get people to interact? So every time I have to do any like training courses with the other teachers, if it's professional development, I was presenting a seminar last week to a group of other colleagues. I always use Nearpod, and
That's
everyone
great.
always enjoys it. And they often I get people coming up saying, "Oh, what was that software you used? That was really nice." And so I think when people see how engaging it is, um, they want to use it. Um, so my tip is, if I can do it, you can do it. It's super easy to get started. Um, and the best way to learn is really just jump straight in and put a presentation together, try it out with your students, see how it goes and build it from there. I guess my tip is, I just keep things simple. In terms of design, just, white background, plain font, just keep it as simple as possible. And I guess my guiding question that guides me in creating activities with Nearpod and other curriculum materials is, what do I want my students to do in this class? So I'm always asking myself, what will my students be doing? And how can I use Nearpod to get them to do that? Also, um, it's quite nice to create just a short activity. Could be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something to start the class with or to wrap up the class at the end with, even in the middle, in between activities. It's a nice way to create some novelty as well throughout the lesson.
Perfect. Yeah. And this is just a curiosity. Have you found the content in the library, the Nearpod library, to be helpful?
Yeah.
And I know it's very specific, right?
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
yeah.
I haven't. I've only really used it once, with a very generic topic on sustainability. I used, there was a video presentation with questions through it, so I use that with my students. Um, Otherwise, for my purposes, it's too general. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have been basically creating your lessons from scratch, or maybe uploading your own materials, PDFs, PowerPoints, right? And then adding the
Yeah,
activities.
I actually find that the easiest way to do it is just creating it from scratch in
Yeah.
Nearpod.
Hmm.
I I usually, like, my process would be to write the lesson plan and write the activities out, and then have a look and think what could work in Nearpod. And then so I've got all the content ready to go, and then I'll put it into Nearpod. I did try using Google Slides, but I found I didn't like that at all, because I had to kind of go out of Nearpod to edit and then come back. And that was, yeah, I didn't like that at all. So just starting in Nearpod and creating in Nearpod, I think for me has worked out to be the easiest.